Race walking. It's a unique sport that's estimated to be some 300 years old. It's an odd-looking event, but it's also a sport in the Olympic Games. That international standing is what attracts many men and women to walk, not run. Race walking is different than many other events in track and field. It's not how high you can jump, how far you can soar, or even how fast you get there. Sure, the winner is the first to cross the finish line, but the winner is also the one who doesn't break the rules. Unlike running, where there are many different styles, there's only one style in race walking. Basically, one foot has always got to stay on the ground. To do that and go fast takes skill and practice. The men and women you'll see in this video are some of the best in the United States. Their dedication and hard work is making their Olympic dreams come true. Race walking as a sport started in England sometime during the 18th century. Back then it was called pedestrian achievement races. Race walking is probably a bit easier to say. Like many other sports, race walking's popularity began to grow, and it soon spread to other European countries and eventually into the United States. By 1908, race walking was a medal event in the Olympic Games. In the 96 Games, men will compete in two separate races, the 50-kilometer and the 20-kilometer race walk. Women compete in the 10K race. While it may not receive as much coverage as the long jump or the sprints, race walking is definitely a very popular sport. Thousands of people worldwide compete each year in race walking for various reasons. Some compete for the fun of it, some to get in shape, and there are still others who walk to be the best.
I think race walking is a good way, you know, even if you just want to stay in shape, it's a good way to get back in shape after you have a baby. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to be doing a sport, you might as well be competing at it at the highest level you can.
Michelle Roll speaks from experience. She was a member of the 1992 U.S. women's race walk team at the Barcelona Olympic Games. That was the first time women race walkers competed officially in the Olympics. Michelle finished 15th in the world. Today, she combines family life with training. She has two children, Molly and Sebastian, and a race-walking husband, Mike Roll. At the 92 Olympic Games, Michelle became famous not just for her race walking, but also for a television commercial she did for a phone company. Michelle didn't actually start race walking until she was 24. She says there are benefits to starting earlier.
It's a good idea to get exposed to it, and they have a lot of options for the kids. They can go to Junior Olympics and the Junior Nationals, and because in race walking there's not a lot of them, so it's easy for them to, you know, if they just do a little bit of work, to be successful.
Race walker Rob Cole agrees. Starting early helps young race walkers learn the rules. And while it's important to go fast, it's also important to follow the strict guidelines.
Well, it's like anything. It's like tennis players, swimmers, gymnastics. If you get started at an early age, and we have a coach like Bodan who can help these athletes out, they can be our world-class athletes and be able to make our race walking program into one of the best in the world. By starting out, if we get an athlete that's in 3rd grade or in 5th grade or 6th grade, we can take them and they won't have any bad habits. Like, for example, the coaching in high school when I first started race walking wasn't that good. People didn't know much about how to coach race walking, therefore I picked up a lot of bad habits that weren't necessarily good for me, and it took me a couple of years to figure out how to get rid of them. And with Bodan, they can do that right away at an early age.
So what about the rules? Actually, they're pretty simple. Walk, don't run. Race walking coach Bodan Bulikowski demonstrates the proper race walking technique. One foot has to stay on the ground at all times. That's the first rule. Second rule, the supporting leg must be straight for one moment when your body's in the upright position. Sound difficult? Maybe not. Race walker Lynn Brubaker says We've all done this before.
And I think it's one of those things a lot of people forget that we all have done at one point or another. I mean, everybody walks. Race walking is just a little fancier form of walking, but all kids, all second, first graders, fifth graders, all have race walked at some point in their time. And most kids will say, well, nah, I never did that race walking stuff. So, well, yeah, how many times were they around a swimming pool and they started running around the swimming pool and the lifeguard blew the whistle and said, hey, don't run, walk. So they do that stiff-legged walk, and that's exactly what race walking is. So every child probably out there has race walked at some point in their life, but never really thought of it themselves as a potential Olympic contender.
Tim Seaman is one who started young. He was in high school when he began competing as a race walker. Since then, he's only gotten better.
Well, I won the junior national championship twice, in 1990 and 1991. I hold 5 of the national junior records from distances up from 1 mile to 20K, and I'm 4-time national NAIA collegiate champion.
Tim says he got into race walking for the fun and the competition.
Race walking is just really fun. My training partners are really fun to be around. My coach is a great coach, and I love to travel. We've traveled almost all over the world, and the opportunity just to race and test yourself and to compete, it's a wonderful experience.
How'd you get into race walking?
It was actually a high school event in New York, in Suffolk County on Long Island, and I got started with my only intentions were to help my team get points in dual meets. That was it, and did all right in the counties my first time indoors, and then I was 3rd in the county outdoors in my junior year of high school. And ever since then, I applied to Wisconsin Parkside. I got an athletic scholarship, and it was great.
So you see, race walking is really a fun sport, and it's easy to learn. Take a minute now to watch as a few of the nation's best race walkers show you how it's done.
This year, a good goal would be top 15 in the Olympics, and I think it'd be a tremendous achievement to be in the top 10. But you know, race is race, and as coach would say, and you never know what's going to happen. So 50K is a long way in the Atlanta heat. Yeah. That's for everyone. A lot of people are going to drop out. A lot of people get disqualified because they're too tired. And, you know, if you're in the right place at the right time, anything can happen.
That's Alan James. He's the #1 race walker in the United States. In 1992, he competed in the Olympic Games in Barcelona.
You definitely get the butterflies. In fact, just thinking about it, recalling the instance, conjures up the butterflies and the spine-tingling sort of feelings that you get in the Olympic Stadium, and again in Atlanta. Most of the athletes will come out, enter the track from underneath the stadium. So you march you in, you go underneath the stadium, and all the athletes are, hoop and hollering, and they're just getting into it, and it's a big carnival sort of atmosphere, and as the athletes prepare to go out in the track, and it's a lot of fun, and you just want to see if you can get yourself on the TV. So it's kind of fun, but I think one of the neatest parts is being able to be out there with most of the athletes are on the field after we go around the track and so forth, and a lot of people were rushing over to see like the dream team and so forth, but the neatest part for me was to be able to go and meet some of the athletes from other countries and trade pins and stuff like that with them. So that was probably the highlight for me, really.
Growing up, Alan had his choice of sports. He was a pretty good athlete and enjoyed staying busy.
Well, I did pretty much everything growing up. I played soccer. That was my first sport I took up. Then I started running track. That was all about third grade, fourth grade when I started participating in, organized sports. First soccer, of course, then fourth grade was track. In junior high, I ran cross country and played basketball some, and soccer, and by the time high school I added swimming and a couple other sports to it. So I always kind of really kept busy, not to mention playing a couple different instruments, and kept real busy in school. But race walking was sort of a afterthought when I was competing in track and field, similar to the LaGrange Track Club here. Race walking was presented as an event. Each practice we all had to walk one lap, and I was always the first one in. So I was at this track meet. I just won the 1,500-meter run, and the coach asked me to do the 800-meter walk, and I was going into 7th grade then, and I ended up winning that as well. So I kind of kept on doing that on the side, and sort of the phenomena that you see here in LaGrange with the coach working with some of the kids. We have several race walkers here in LaGrange from about that age, even younger, third, fourth grade, competing all the way up to seniors in high school. So all it takes is some knowledge of the sport and some exposure to track and field, and you usually can get a few good race walkers out of that.
If traveling is what you want, follow this guy. Alan says race walking has let him see the world.
I think the main benefit of race walking is the opportunity to really to see the world. Starting when I was 19, I placed up in the Junior Olympics, or not Junior Olympics, but Junior Nationals, and was able to go to Sweden for Swedish Walk Week, and also I was competing for my college team, and we went to the national championships, saw different places here in the U.S., and since then I've been able to go to China, Australia, Argentina, Germany, Russia, just Sweden, all over the world. So it's just been a really neat opportunity to be able to experience the different cultures and meet the different athletes from around the world. I think that's
Today, he's the best in the United States, and he says hard work and dedication is the reason for that.
I think being the main ingredient to being a champion, I really feel it has been the motivation that it takes to persevere. I feel that I've been given a gift, by God to do something and do it well, and is my kind of ultimate, purpose to try as hard as I can and work as hard as I can in practice and do everything that I can to use the gifts that have been given me to the best of my ability. And to me that means working hard, and also it means when you step to the line at the competition that you're not doing it solely for your own benefit, but it's to glorify God, and I think that's what really drives me and pushes me onward.
So you're thinking of being a race walker, huh? But you don't know how your friends will accept the sport? Olympic race walker Herm Nelson knows how it feels to compete in a lesser-known sport.
You have to make up your mind what you want, whether you'd rather be more popular with your friends and your peers, or whether you'd rather do something that's satisfying to you as far as achievement goes. And it lacks the visual splash and appeal of, say, gymnastics or some of the more short-term, short attention span, kind of 2-minute, 3-minute, high-speed events, basketball and stuff like that. But it's the Olympics. The medal they give is gold, just like any of the others, and if that's what you want to go for, it's there for you.
Still thinking of race walking? Well, to be the best, you've got to remember, believe in yourself.
No one else can tell you what you can do, but if you believe it inside, it's like when as a nursing instructor, I used to tell kids, my students, you did really well in that test. You got an 88. I mean, that's super. And the student would sit there with tears in their eyes and say, I didn't do well. You say, well, yeah, you did well. You got an 88. That's great. That's a high B. It's almost an A. And they look at you with tears in their eyes again, and they say, but I wanted an A. And so, like with race walking or anything else, you can tell people all kinds of things, but if they don't believe it inside, and a third grader or a fourth grader has to believe that they've got the whole world out in front of them. And I think the most tragic thing is to tell a third or fourth or fifth grader you're nothing and you can't do anything, because everybody learns to walk, and everybody could learn to be a race walker if they wanted, and everybody could be an Olympic champion even if it's inside. It doesn't have to be outside. They don't need all the medals on the wall, but if they have the medals inside, that's what matters.
Dave McGovern agrees. Believe in yourself and never forget your goal.
Is a lot of the mental side is just getting out there every day when things are tough, being mentally tough and being able to go out every day and train hard. And it's not so much killing yourself every day, it's staying focused, keeping your mind on the goal. And when there are other things to do, your friends are going out, staying out late at night, you need to, know that you have to get in early because you have that workout the next day. And just consistent day in, day out training is really what it takes. And then desire.
Andrew Herman, another member of the local program, says confidence helps him work hard.
The principle that surrounds the way I view my training or training is that the only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary, and so I just work hard as I can every day. Granted, there are going to be days where things don't go good, and you've just got to persevere and stay focused and confident in yourself that everything's going to work out, and not to give up if you have a bad race or if training doesn't go good. The key is just to stay focused and keep on working, because sooner or later your hard work is going to pay off, and that's what's going to take you to become a champion.
Bohdan Bulikowski was a member of Poland's 1980 Olympic team. He finished 7th in the Moscow Games. He says mental fitness is as important as physical fitness in the sport.
The most difficult is to prepare to race. Because our training takes a long time. We train average 3 hours a day. So, and it's a lot of distance training, and it's kind of boring. And I think the best athletes in this event, they're supposed to be very tough mentally.
Olympic Games and beyond, you'll be able to see many of these race walkers competing for the United States. They'll be racing against the best the world has to offer. And just think, they trained right here in LaGrange.
I think I'd do it over again. I mean, it takes its toll. It's the value in doing it a lot of times is not compensated for monetarily, but I think it just the opportunities and everything that I've been able to do and take my family to different, destinations around the world
I mean, I think that makes it special when you're able to go as a family to Australia or go to Norway as a family, so I think that's, you know, I've always tried to include my family in that, and I think that makes it pretty special and worthwhile at that point.
It's really fun, and it's a great form of exercise, and that you can compete with it, and they find that they have a skill at it. And not everybody can become a race walker. Not everybody's a runner. Not everybody's a baseball player. Not everybody's a basketball player. I think you need to try all different forms of sports and find out which one's best for you, and do it. And if you're good at it, then you need to try it.
The thing about track and field is that it fits all molds, and that any athlete can go out, find something that they're good at within that sport, or at least comparable to. And for a young athlete to build self-esteem, being part of a team sport may do that, but not like an individual sport where you can excel at something that no one else can.
You know, obstacles that are going to come along and set you back from time to time, and you have to keep your eye on the ball kind of, and just think to the long term and ride over those and just keep it going, you know, in some form or another. If you know what you want and you really honestly think you can reach your goals, you got to just stick with it.
Number one, and number two, and number three, you have to have commitment. And I think with the commitment, eventually the talent becomes refined, and you have to have a lot of internal motivation and some external, but you have to be really motivated. And if you're looking for glamour like the runners get or some other sports, you're not going to find it. But I think you find the glamour more or less inside. I mean, you feel better about yourself. It's something that you can do, and it's very unique, and it makes you feel good.
I've been able to go to China, I've been able to go to Europe, and you know, now I'll be able to go to South America and different parts of the world. So it's great, and also to compete for your country. You know, it's really fun to be able to go and wear the USA and be able to, you know, walk all around the world competing for your country. It's really great.
The ability to travel all over the world, meet people everywhere, and just you know, stay fit, you know, throughout your life. I'm 30 now, and I'm in better shape than I was when I was 18 when I started. So
I'm glad I race walked, because I'm sure that I got a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have gotten as a runner. So it's nice. The traveling is nice. Get to visit a lot of places and compete in track and field on a higher level.
I'd do it over again, and I would love every minute of it. To train for the Olympics and to push yourself physically to the limits and mentally to the limits is in a feeling that cannot be described. The sense of accomplishment, the sense of improving is something that you don't get in the business world, or you get it, but it's in a different sense. And this is the only time in my life when I'm young that I'm going to be able to do it, and I would do it all over again. If I would never change any decision not to train for the Olympics.
What did it feel like to get 7th place in the Olympics, Coach?
I just feel great. It's now Masters World Champion.
There you have it, 9 of the best race walkers in the United States and their coach training to be the best. Their hopes, their dreams, all of their hard work, taking them to a place few others will ever go.
I hurry Russia's cry.